Hey, Tom.
Hey, Dana, welcome back.
Thank you. So we are back to two guys talking toys. And this is episode three, which is exciting. And we are continuing our conversation because Tom is eagerly interested in our views, loyal listener, on the concept of what is scalping as compared to just buying toys and selling them and profiting. And
But before we jump into that, Dana, any new toy pickups?
No, not any, and I didn't find any more in any parking lots either.
That's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. Well, I guess it is fortunate because then kids kids aren't losing their toys. So let's not have another episode of Angry Tom who
This
wants to take toys from children and insult people
I,
who maybe don't shave their
I,
neck beards or whatever. Like
I'm,
you know,
I'm just I'm just saying it might be Big Daddy Target's preferred outcome if kids lost their toys, because then they'd have to bother their parents. They got to go back into Target. They got to buy more toys, but they can't because some horrible scalper boogeyman has armed them all into the cart. Not gonna happen.
so now I instantly pictured in my head a big like wrestler type guy, you know, Big Daddy Target walking around the parking lot like smacking toys out of kids' hands into like the oil slicked puddle, and then the kid having now to cry through Target until its parents buy it a new toy. So
he would
now
either he would either look like he would either look exactly like the $1 Million Man, except instead of his
a
red,
red,
it's like a red glittery with the circle in the middle, because he was known for just being mean to kids. That
right?
that
Yeah.
that child who was bouncing the basketball never had a chance to get to five times.
I was thinking more intimidating, like Kane
Oh, see, that would be even
with
more.
the
Except
because he had the red.
yes, but it would have to be glittery and sparkly. I don't know why. That seems to be the way that Target would want their character to be represented in a wrestling podcast or a wrestling television show of some kind.
Why glitter? So we've gone from angry
Mm-hmm,
Tom
mm-hmm.
to glitter Tom
Yep, yep,
to
glittery.
arts and crafts Michael's Tom.
I mean, he
Okay.
would have to. I mean, because he would have to start. He would have to sell the product as well. So you have Big Daddy Kane, or I'm sorry, Big Daddy
Big Daddy
Target,
Target.
knocking toys out of kids' hands, but you could just go back inside. Like that's his
Right.
end goal. There is to get you to
Right.
go back
So he
inside.
would be like, "You need a new toy." Punk just like
Lamb.
smacking toys out. Yeah.
And
To
Dad's
later
like,
be
I just
rescued by
yep,
Dana.
yep. And Dad's like, I just bought this, and the response to that is a tombstone pile driver.
Right. So to get back on topic, how much do you think the Big Daddy Target action figure would go for?
It would be an exclusive, 100%.
Yeah, a
They
Target
would
exclusive for sure.
they would overproduce it, as Target exclusives tend to be. It would turn into the Skeletor 2 pack that came out with Trapjaw. Um,
Right.
oh my goodness, I am a terrible He-Man fan. I forgot Trapjaw's name before he becomes Trapjaw. It starts with a K. I've completely blanked on it. Feel free.
I'm not telling you until you come up with it. So even if it's like
It's
two in the
not
morning, I need you to text me.
it's not Cronin. It's because
Oh, it's close.
I'm thinking Cronenberg, but that's a little
Cronenberg.
that's a little too cool for Trapjaw. So it wouldn't
Wait,
be that.
who's Cronenberg?
Cronenberg is the director who brought us such amazing movies as The Fly.
Ah, The Fly is an amazing movie.
A whole lot.
Cronenberg
He
sounds like he would make bagels.
oh, I mean, he may have enjoyed a few bagels on the set, but he wouldn't look as sexy eating them as someone like Jeff Goldblum. So
Or
he
Trapjaw. That's
yeah.
one thing I would not want to see across my breakfast table is Trapjaw eating a bagel. I think
does
that would be off-putting at best.
does Trapjaw sprinkle dust, like a dust version of that green rock he used to eat so that he could fight He-Man on the same
Right.
power level? Does he add that to his
It was
bagels
like
first, like a
reverse
little?
kryptonite that he ate.
Yeah, it's a little smear of green rock to make sure that he can go toe to toe with the most powerful man in the universe.
Yeah.
And for a few minutes, Trapjaw was also the most powerful man in the universe, and we never got that
Well,
explored properly.
he'd be most powerful co-man in the
Oh, that is
universe.
true.
Yeah,
That is true.
co most powerful man in the universe.
So now that I've
Cronus.
gotten,
His name is Cronus.
oh my goodness, it was that simple. I can't believe I am not allowed to own
There's
He-Man
another at.
toys.
There's another at. You're under
Feel,
attack again, Tom.
this time I deserve it. Feel free to at me at Two Guys Talking Toys. That is the Twitter handle. If you want to send it via Gmail, also the Gmail account, Two Guys Talking Toys. That is the number 2, no G after the talking. Feel free. Let me have it.
Right.
So as far as toy pickups on my end, I forgot I finally shipped my pile of loot from Big Bad Toy Store. I am probably one of those customers that they're not that happy with because I'm constantly manipulating my pre-order list. And when things come into stock, if I find it in the store, then I get rid of it. But I really like that store credit. It's just going back into the store. I'm just going to buy more stuff from them. But I finally hit that you need to ship within 2 days, 1 day, and then today was 0 days. So I looked through, I tossed a couple more things into my pile of loot, like the Netflix Cosmic Skeletor, which I thought was a Walmart exclusive, but I guess it is not because it's on the Big Bad Toy Store website.
Right, I did pick that one up at Target. I do like it.
He's fantastic. So he'll be in that big old pile of loot.
Another Big Bad Toy Store plug.
Yeah, feel free to follow us, guys, or listen to the show, Big Bad Toy Store.
Right.
Or
I almost want to say the other ones that we shop at, but I don't want to. A Big Bad Toy Store, come to us. Also, Tom, I like this dynamic of you being bad cop to my good cop here. So,
yeah, I guess comparatively, you could only be the good cop if you were to say, why don't I punch a puppy? And I'll be like, that's nothing. Where's the lawnmower?
What? Whoa!
I'm just saying, if we're going full on bad cop, you
wow.
have to go. You gotta go full
Big Bad or Big Daddy Target look like a nice guy.
If you're gonna be a heel, you have to be the best heel you could possibly be, aka Big Boss Man via his feud with the Big Show.
Oh yeah. All right. So if we get into that, we're really going to start wasting time.
It's a whole other podcast.
We have gone down a rabbit hole as always. So back on the topic of last episode, you had stated you still had many a thought and inquiry that we needed to investigate. So lay them on me. I realize I'm really bad at this. Like I always forget to put our name in there. I'm plugging everybody else. I'm really bad at plugging our own name.
Oh no, that's fine.
Go ahead, Tom.
We loop it in the beginning. They all know what they signed up for. They wouldn't have clicked on listen in the podcast section.
Right.
So
this was the Brady Bunch retrospective that they thought they were clicking on.
Yeah. So last week we talked about scalping. What is it good for? What is it not
Absolutely
good for?
Nothing.
Absolutely not. It serves no purpose except for the other. I'm sorry. I will stop derailing us. We discussed scalping, what we kind of define it as, and I still kind of stand by my initial description of it, whereas it is someone who actively tries to get their hands on an item that has a perceived higher value, with the sole intention of flipping said item for as much money as possible, driving up the scarcity and increasing the value, not because, say, the item itself is valuable, but because no one else can get it, specifically because they went and got it before anyone else, through whatever means necessary, whether it be dumb luck, whether it be that they have an in with the manager of said store, whether it be because they are the manager of said store, because that happens too. I'm sure a lot of people have been employed in Walmart, Target, Toys R Us when they were running around and actually worked at the store and would just wipe them out. So sometimes items that are really sought after don't even make it to the shelf and instead go straight to eBay, which is unfortunate.
Now you
So
just convinced me to go work at Target.
absolutely, just well, you know what, just wear a red shirt and walk into Target.
I have a red shirt. Loyal listeners, I work gleefully for the American Heart Association, and we wear red all the time. And when I walk into Target, I get asked to help all the time. And I go there often enough that usually I'll help out. I'll take somebody where they need to go. I won't stock shelves, but maybe I need to work there.
You just start walking in, just telling people what to do. You go in the
Eh,
back, check and see if this is here.
Except for Big Daddy Target. I'm not going to tell him what to do.
He seems like more of a regional manager. So I think he would tour the area and make random appearance at the store, but you would always know he was coming because Pyro would go off first. We're like, oh no, it's Big Daddy Target. Get to your sections.
If I knew he was coming in the area, I would just wander around the parking lot with a toy in my hand and hope he came over and smacked it out.
He's very stealthy.
All right, we are not staying on topic at all. All right, Tom.
So okay, so I had more questions regarding your opinion as to whether or not this constitutes scalping or not. So convention exclusives, which I think is something that we could also do like a full other episode on. But here I want to kind of narrow the scope just to acquiring said exclusives.
If we did, we'd have to do it at a convention and only let the people who have been there hear it.
Absolutely. For better or worse, whatever their opinions may be. So there are, there is New York Comic Con, there is San Diego Comic, there's just tons and the local conventions. And without one of the, I guess the kind of the joys of going is to pick up items that are usually advertised to only be available at said convention. Now, say I pick up 3 or 4 of whatever this item, and these are usually a limited number. They usually only make a certain amount, and I believe over the years they have started limiting how many you can purchase, but sometimes they don't. You buy however many number of exclusives, and then you immediately turn around and sell them on eBay for 3, 4, 5. If it's the weekend of the convention, 3, 4, sometimes 5 times the price that you paid for. And we see this every year. We see it every single time there's a convention. They all go up. They all, whether it's a pre-order or just a flat out sale, they go for insane amounts of money. Is that scalping?
That is a fine question. Now I'm not one of those guys that go out for the the convention exclusive, but we did witness it. Remember, we did this experiment at Legion Con.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the people who were in the front of the line leave in with the exclusives, and we were talking about taking bets about how quickly we'd be able to see them on eBay, and it was literally minutes.
Yep.
Literally minutes. And so people were going out to the car with their phones, snapping a photo and posting them. Now, remind me, those exclusives were how much at the convention? Because you bought some.
I believe they were 50 and 100 respectively, because they did one for each day. And I apologize if my numbers are off. I was
no, but I remember it was a substantial markup, like. Yes. $200+ moments, literally moments.
Yes.
We hadn't even gotten into the convention yet. And we were still able to get on the phone and buy the exclusives for $200+. And there were people running in, getting the exclusives and leaving.
Yeah.
It's like they were only there now, clearly, in my mind anyway, those aren't the people who are there to celebrate all of that line, plus the number of amazing customs that were at that show that were, admirable. But they clearly weren't there to see those things or the new lines coming out. They just wanted the markup dollars for the exclusives.
Yeah,
which is a little disappointing in my opinion. And I will say, I'm sure some of them bought the exclusives, ran out to the car and posted them, and
Yeah.
then they were stamped and maybe came back in. So I don't want to
Mhm.
blanket. I'm sure there were those people,
Yeah.
but I'm thinking of people who bought the exclusives who wanted to come back in, stayed in with the exclusives,
Yeah.
because and so the people who had them posted, I don't think they were coming back in for the things unless they were
Yeah.
shopping for things to sell. So, and the other thing is this: like there were cool exclusives that we've seen, like that show exclusive that I bought in New Jersey that time,
Oh
and
yeah.
and
Yeah.
there were the Plunderling exclusives
Hmm.
there, that purple translucent one. Um, and then what was it? 2 days later,
Hmm.
they were available. Not only that, we saw them at Legion Con
Yes.
being sold again from a
Hmm.
booth who clearly bought them. It wasn't the Plunderlings booth, who was
Yeah.
a great guy. I can't remember his name. You're friendly with him. Um, he it wasn't his booth, it was another booth selling, oddly enough, the show exclusives from the place in the other show in New Jersey that we were at a couple of weeks ago.
Hmm.
But the one I bought, and the purple Plunderling, and I'm not downing Plunderlings, they're awesome. There are a couple sitting right behind me. Um, were both available
Hmm.
through Big Bad Toy Store,
Yes.
like days after. So
Hmm.
I'm glad I'm not one of the suckers that was like, oh, I can't make it to Legion Con, but I really want the exclusive,
Yeah.
or I can't make it to whatever that Jersey Con was that we went to, but I
Hmm.
love the Plunderlings
Yeah.
because they're awesome. And I'm going to buy the exclusive for X times the amount you paid for it.
Yeah.
And then it's at regular retail price 2 days later at, a variety of websites.
Yeah.
So, so what is an exclusive anymore? Is it actually an exclusive, or are we just getting punished for the word exclusive? I
I
don't know.
think,
It's like a tax on toy nerds.
yeah, I think that exclusives fall into this strange kind of gray area, especially when you get into the fervor around, especially some of the larger conventions. Um, for example, I'm a huge Transformers fan, and when BotCon was a convention that was still up and running, when that was still going on, they would offer these specialized box sets of Transformers. You could pay whatever amount for the box set, and then you had the option to purchase what was called a loose set, and it was the same convention exclusives. It's just they were in like a bag instead. And then when you got to the show, they had exclusives that were at the convention itself, or that were you could pre-order those exclusives, and then when you got there, you could pick them up and whatever. But
Mm.
there were all these exclusives that you could get, and you could only get them at the show. I, I don't recall offhand if they sold them after the show. If they did, it would take a while. Like you couldn't not go to the show and then expect to get them, or if my memory is off and they did, it was such limited quantities, they were gone faster than Wonder Bread He-Man. Um, but it also seemed to be kind of an acceptable flipping, if that makes sense. Like it was within the fandom, this same fandom that hates scalpers. If I can't find whatever character, scalpers got it. But if you're going to a convention, it was common practice to you get to the convention, you get your set, you then go to your hotel room, you get on eBay, and you put it up there, and it was purchased for. You could pay for your trip with these things, and I actively partook in doing that as well. But you didn't see that backlash that you normally would. Like if something came out, say like as a Target exclusive, and someone gets it during that window of time where people start reporting seeing it in stores and whatever, and then you see it listed on eBay for 3 or 4 times the price. The convention would happen. People would get the exclusives. They would show up on eBay, and it just kind of seemed to be this accepted thing. And a lot of times, the justification would be, well, you got to pay for your trip. Well, you got to make your money back because you're spending all this money. Well, you got to, well, so I always thought that was kind of interesting. I'm not against it. like I get it. I completely get, and same thing with maybe like a San Diego Comic Con exclusive or a New York Comic Con exclusive. If you're coming in from way wherever and you just want to have a good time and you do still want those toys and you buy a secondary set and then you flip it, I don't know, there doesn't seem to be as much blowback to
No, you
that.
know why? Because of the word exclusive and the fact that Comic-Con happens, the big ones once a
Mm-hmm,
year, right? So it then is actually like we discussed with Wondar
mm-hmm,
that it was a limited run. So the show exclusive are limited runs,
mm-hmm,
and like you said, you have to be in line, you have to get a ticket, there's the whole nine yards.
mm-hmm,
Um, so a fan buys two, sells one to try and recoup some of the cost of the trip is one thing. My gripe is then that is devalued by the fact that the show exclusives are then available
mm-hmm,
3 4 days later for original price through websites, because then the exclusivity has been eliminated.
yeah.
So I don't know the rationale behind that. Like,
Mm-hmm,
Target exclusives are available Target all over the country. So how
mm-hmm,
exclusive is that? Not
yeah.
very.
Mm-hmm,
But a convention exclusive should be that. They're available for this short amount of time in
mm-hmm,
this limited amount of numbers, and then they are unavailable. Now, make
mm-hmm,
some sort of variant or something.
yeah.
That's another story. But those specific show exclusives should stay that way, which
Mm-hmm,
then would, um, justify whatever your markup is going to be, because that's a
mm-hmm,
true rarity. Like
yeah.
once a year, something special comes out.
Mm-hmm,
You know what I mean? That's like, it's like Halley's Comet every 75 years. You can see it like once a year.
mm-hmm.
Um, I don't have a problem with that if they're actual exclusive. I would feel like a dope though if I couldn't make Legion Con and that Friday afternoon I spent $200 on the now granted these didn't show up on a website. I didn't see them anywhere but eBay. But
Yeah.
I would have felt silly if I had spent $250 on eBay for the show exclusive because I wanted it truly,
Yeah.
and I couldn't be there,
Mm-hmm,
and then 2 days later I see it on another website for the original price.
yeah.
I would feel like a dodo. So I feel like there's a little bit of gray area there that I'm not a fan of. But
Mm-hmm,
the you know getting a true exclusive and then selling it, the other thing that when you get on eBay and other places, you see that, um and we've witnessed it in some of the stores that we go to that sell vintage stuff, and
yeah.
you know um it'll sit there for literally 2 years. We were going into that store
Mm-hmm.
for 2 years and the thing hasn't moved,
Mm-hmm,
and no one will lower the price. Like,
yeah.
that's just not good business. But because toy people are like you and I, you know what I mean? Like, we're
Yeah.
we're we're professionals, and we do our thing, but um we're not you know in that business per
Mm-hmm,
se. So something's only actually worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. Like, you could
yes.
say Superman #1 is worth a quadruple zillion googleplex dollars,
Mm-hmm,
but if no one's going to pay that, then it's not really worth that, right?
yes.
So that's the thing that I think a lot of um toy vendors that we frequent seem to forget.
I'm glad you brought that up because that kind of leads into uh my next line of questioning. So where were you on the evening of May 2nd? I'm sorry.
What am I being accused of?
being the worst crime ever, scalping. I feel like that's like you're a communist. It's the version
Wow.
of that
Oh, Mean
that
Tom is back.
it's I feel like people throw that term around a lot. And sometimes it's relevant, or sometimes it's accurate, sometimes it is not.
What,
Where you're like,
communist? Oh,
well, they almost seem interchangeable within the toy community. If you're just accused of being a scalper, it's almost on you to prove that you're not, as opposed to
right, right.
no,
So
I'm
with
just trying to make a profit. So my question coming out of that is kind of a what came first, the scalper, or I guess for lack of a better phrase, a fool and his money, which are soon pardoned. I apologize to anyone who was a fool as parted with their money. I have been said fool in the past to get what I want
well,
and
me
to
too,
get
because
it
I
first.
have no money.
So is someone's willingness to pay an exorbitant amount of money to get this item what breeds the scalper? Is the scalper there because he or she or it sees a need or sees this want for this particular thing? Are they just feeding it, or are they making that worse? They see someone willing to pay buku bucks for this item, and they say, well, I know in my head, or maybe they don't, but they probably do, I know this thing is going to be clearanced in, X number of days. Like those Skeletor Cronus sets, when those
I'm
first,
glad you remembered his name today.
I did. His name is Cronus. He's a blue man. Apparently the same race. Is he the same race as Keldor? They're just different shades of
They're
blue.
different shades of blue.
Yeah, that is interesting. I'm not quite sure where that puts them. But
Mm.
hey, but when those sets first started popping up, people couldn't find them anywhere. Like you and I never saw them, and they went for crazy amounts of money on the aftermarket. Now
And then they
Target
showed
can't
up. Then
even.
they suddenly just
Yeah,
all showed up. Yeah.
they showed up, and then they kept showing up, and then they were able to make giant stacks of them, and then they were able to make forts out of them, and nobody wanted them. So
I wanted the fort.
absolutely, I mean, if you used a Craggle to make those solid, and you had a solid fort made out of Cronus and Skeletor boxes, that'd be worth some money. But
Right.
they almost became worthless. They couldn't give them away. Um, is someone's willingness to pay for that, like to get it first, to have it in hand, to I can't find this, I need it now, is that what breeds a person who then sees that and says, I'm friends with the manager of this store, I'm just going to go? Like I believe a lot of people have seen the video of a woman and her kid who are in a Target, and they're heading towards the NECA section, and there's this guy.
Man, Target's gonna hate us.
Oh yeah, look, Big Daddy Target can opt to either support us or not support us for our truth. we are saying nothing but true things here, things that we've seen with our own eyes, and they can like it or not like it. But there was a video that was floating around of this lady and her kid. They were in a Target. They're heading towards. This was when the Turtles in Disguise 4-pack had popped up.
Right.
They're heading towards the NECA section, and there is this guy. And I apologize, I don't recall offhand if it was the NECA supplier, or if it was a Target employee who literally has all of them, like all four. They get a shipment of 4 of these box sets. He's got all 4 in his arms. He sees her approaching. Now she's videotaping this, so she says, "Oh no! Oh, I guess there they go." And he looks, and you see it on his face. You see this look of guilt, but also, I really want all these. I don't want to hand one of these over. And he says, "Oh, did you want one?" And I was like, "What kind of question is that?" To which she says, "Well, yeah, like my kid really likes." And he hands over one, and you could just see it on his face, the instant regret. Oh, my profit. Oh, I can't believe I'm letting this go. But like that's the kind of thing that we encounter. But is that caused by people's unwillingness to wait?
Good question. One, multi-layered. I'd like to address. One, I am not now, nor have ever been a communist. There was something else in there I wanted to address. But secondly, those videos, I always question them because, like, why was she making a video of going up to buy Ninja Turtles, and we've just got our time warning. So why was she doing that? So every time I see a video like that, I didn't see that specific one. I feel like it's some sort of staged event. Because what is this really an event? You have to record going with your son to buy Ninja Turtles. And secondly, I think it's just an impatience. Like I as a collector have felt the, oh my God, I have to have this.
Mhm.
And now as a mature person, you and I have gone through our orders and things in the last couple of
Yeah.
weeks and been like, we can wait on that. We could but there is that, ooh, look at that shiny new thing. I need to have it.
Mhm.
Uh so I think there's a lot of that and the unknowing, especially it has gotten worse since COVID
Yes.
because everybody was at home, everybody was bored, and
Mhm.
everybody needed money.
Yeah.
So they were combing through stores, masked up, and then selling on eBay. Like everybody became a toy seller
Yeah.
during COVID, which was weird,
Y-
honestly. Um, and then secondly, there was such there was no faith that the inventory was coming in because remember we had all of those shipping difficulties. We had what 80 something ships, cargo ships off the coast of California that couldn't
Yeah.
be unloaded because
Distri-
there was nobody in the port. Like the distribution was horrible.
yeah, distribution was a nightmare.
So during that time, anything that showed up new, we were all frothing at the mouth about. So I think that unknowing when the next stuff was coming, and we still haven't recovered from that. We still really haven't. Like it's still unpredictable. Even dependable lines like McFarlane's DC EU line has sort of become less predictable when things were coming out and
Yeah.
classifieds forget about it. Like they come and go on the shelves. You don't even know they're there. And then like just recently, um, the Python Patrol bats and Stalker are showing up in stores,
Mhm.
whereas for months you never saw them.
Yeah.
So you just don't know. And I think that's part of the problem as well. So as far as your chicken and the egg question goes, I think if the if the scalper is the chicken in this scenario, and those of us who trade our hard-earned ducats for toys are the egg, I would say the chicken came first, but
Mhm.
didn't see the eggs respond until COVID hit.
Yeah.
And the fact that we're still suffering some of
Yeah.
that shock and some of that odd culture shift
Mhm.
that hasn't returned back 100%. Um, I think that's part of the problem.
It's interesting to look at the inventory that stores are actually starting to pick up now. There's a lot more. What was it the other day when we were in Target and you showed me that there's still Python Patrol bats that are on the shelf.
Yeah.
Do you remember when the original Cobra Island started and people were looking for Vipers?
Oh
I
yeah, it was
I,
crazy.
I never saw any, never saw any on the
Nope.
shelf. I lucked out through other collectors, but
And then we saw the 3-pack of Vipers at GameStop. That was
yes.
odd. Like I was like, what? What's happening? So there's no telling. There's just no telling. So you're rolling the dice either way, like you said with that Origins 2-pack.
Mhm.
The first time I saw it, I wasn't interested, but I immediately called you and I was like, Tom,
Mhm.
you want me to grab this? And you were like, yes.
Yeah.
And I did. And then what always happens to me, 2 weeks later, it was everywhere. Same thing with the Sunman set. Tom, I've never
Oh,
seen this.
yep.
And you were like, grab it. And I did. And 2 weeks later, it was on clearance. Like there was the
Clearance.
one that I bought, never saw it again. 2 weeks later, shelves full, clearance. Like,
Now, do you think it gets better? Do you think the general population ever stops paying more than market value for set items that are still technically available in the market? And I ask this because it's an interesting kind of, I guess, lack of dynamic between toy production, toy producers, Hasbro, Mattel, whatnot, who are making these toys for a profit. And then you've got, yeah, let's go with like the worst version of the scalper, who's wiping these out. They're
the
paying
demon.
Yeah, they're paying just retail for these, but they are also benefiting and getting this additional profit.
Right.
Do
The great
toy
equalizer here that's going to flatline everything is going to be the pre-order market.
Mhm. But also, do toy producers provide enough product, or I guess I should flip it, do toy retailers order enough product where scalping is an impossible thing to do? Because to go back to classifieds, we're seeing that with the bats. Or I don't know if this is only in our area, because every region is different. Some places it just might be bone dry, but in our area, there is enough now where whoever was going to swoop in and get them did. Whoever was going to jump in and grab those initial case assortments of Python Patrol Vipers and bats, they got them. And maybe they made a profit online selling them. But now they've replenished those cases. More and more cases of them have appeared. They've filled the shelves with them to the point where now everyone's full. Everyone's gotten their fill of bats. And now if you want to go back and get some more, now you can. Is that what needs to happen? Or do you think they even care about that happening? Or is it in their eyes, we've sold our product, I don't care what you do? Or do they actually realize people are going to keep buying these? Let's just make them available.
It goes back to the pre-orders. So they're having difficulty figuring out their brick and mortar inventory because everybody's pre-ordering. Like I have pre-orders that aren't going to be here for another year or a year and a half, right? So my interest in going to the store now is almost just purely curiosity. What's going to be available. And then sometimes, like we discussed this the other day, I'll find something in a store that I have pre-ordered and then I'll buy it and cancel the pre-order. But everybody's pre-ordering now. And so I think in regard to scalpers, they are going to find that buying the 3 that are on the shelf in Target isn't really going to help them because everybody's already expecting them in the mail, and they may get them 2 weeks, 3 weeks later than the first appearance on the shelf, but they already know they're getting them. And so the amount of people who are pre-ordering now on Big Bad and Hasbro Pulse and even Target and Walmart, like I think I think that's going to be the great equalizer, and people are going to find themselves stuck with things like I just posted a bunch of stuff on eBay that were extra figures that I had. Some Revelation stuff, a couple of classifieds, like Major Blood, ones that I had purchased as presents for other collectors, and then I ended up they already had them. So I think and I'm selling them on eBay, and they're not making anything just a little more than what I bought them for because everybody has them. Everybody pre-ordered them. And remember the big Major Blood thing? Like, oh my God, nobody's going to have Major Blood. And now everybody has them. So that those are my thoughts. I think the pre-ordering is going to solve a little bit of the problem. We are down to almost a minute, Tom. And so I think the time has come for you to review how our loyal listeners can comment and share anything you want, unless it's mean, then don't.
Well, see how mean you can get. Just kidding. Don't
Tom,
be mean.
Don't be Tom. We're not going to anybody's houses. Nobody has to be mean. You're down to less than a minute, man.
All right. So if you want to get in touch with us, please feel free at us at Two Guys Talking Toys on Twitter. If you'd like to get a hold of us via Gmail, you can write to us at Two Guys Talking Toys at Gmail. Remember, that is the number 2, no G after talking. So I like saying that. So I think this has gone. I think this has gone pretty well. Thank you very much for your insight, Dana. I think this has been a good conversation.
Thank you, loyal listeners. Stay tuned for episode 4, right? This is 3.
Yep, that'll be next. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.